thought I'd give this a little bit of a go. See if anybody comes on. So, like I said, I don't know if anybody's going to be on. I don't really have that many followers, so we'll see if people come on. I don't even know if the audio is working. Like, find that later. Oh, somebody on. I'm stuck in portrait mode, so I'm thinking that Alright. So who is on? Like I said, it's my first time doing a live, so trying to set you guys up. Ball. Best that I'm gonna get. Good, the device is all the way over there. Oh wait, there we go. That looks better. So can everybody hear me? Not seeing the live chat, guys, so I don't even know if anybody's talking. Alright, so I'm not familiar with the live right now, so I'm gonna have to get more acquainted with it. If anybody's chatting, I can't see it, sorry. Hopefully you guys can hear my voice. So I'm gonna get started on this rebuild of this caliper. So this is on my F150 project. So it's pretty straightforward. I bought a kit on eBay. It cost me about $50 for the kit. It came with the pistons. It came with the boots for the sliders. It came with new fold-down bolts for the caliper. It came with a seal, and it came with a boot. What it did not come with, the kit did not come with, was the sliders themselves. So we're going to be reusing the sliders into this rebuild. Like I said, it is pretty straightforward. This car is a 2005, so I could have went ahead and I could have bought new calipers. Now, if I take the $50 that cost me for the kit, that's $25 to rebuild the caliper. Now, to me, $25 to rebuild a caliper is very, very cheap, especially since when I priced these calipers, they were at, if I'm not mistaken, around $100 each. So, personally, I believe that taking and just rebuilding them is the best bet for this one, since it is a project and I don't feel like putting much more money than what I already have in. So, the first thing that I'm going to do is show you guys how to remove this piston. Now, since I have a piston, there's two ways. One, you could take a compressed shop air and put it into your your inlet for your brake fluid, and take and add air into it. And what that'll do is push out your piston. Now, I'm not going to be going ahead, and I'm not going to be doing that. What I am going to be doing, is I'm just going to be taking a screwdriver, and I'm just going to be banging on this side, and I'm pushing the piston out because I do have two pistons. So really damaging the piston isn't going to change anything for me. So what I'm going to do is just take and close this up a little bit so it gives me somewhere to hit. And I'm just going to take the screwdriver. I'm going to insert my screwdriver, and I'm just going to bang onto the piston to get it out. If it's going to move, I don't know. This side was actually seized, so I don't know how easy it is going to be to take out. Now, I would use a punch, but I actually forgot my punch, so I can't really use that. And the piston's coming out. Give you guys a view of that. As you can tell, the piston is coming out. Okay. So I'm going to finish taking this out. Around for you guys. Wish I had better lighting for this. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So piston is now out. So after you get the piston out, the next step obviously is going to be to remove your boot. Now, in order to remove your boot, there's not really a special process. On this style, all you're going to have to do is take and use a flathead screwdriver or something in order to punch out the boot, because these ones actually are kind of pressed in and not just slid into grooves. So I'll give you guys a view of that too. Okay. So here is what that looks like. Like I said, these ones are pressed in. There's actually a metal sleeve that goes around, and you're able to just sit it in afterwards. So it's a little bit different than what the other systems out there have. So after that, the next thing we're going to want to do is take and clean out the interior. We're going to take and we're going to clean out the interior. Okay. Typically, what you want to do is make sure that there's no debris that stays into it from when you take and you just remove the boot. And also, what you're going to want to do is take and clean the inside groove where the boot actually sits. Now, there's two ways to do that. One, you can use a brush and clean on the interior, or two, you could just take a flathead screwdriver, which is always going to be your friend in cases like this. And you're just going to want to scrape around the edge. I wasn't planning on doing a live, so I didn't really bring all the tools that were necessary for this. I should have brought my buffer, and I should have brought a couple of other tools, but you want to know what? That's okay. So you can always take and spray some rust penetrant onto it. That'll help clean up the groove. And from there, we're just going to take another shop towel. We're going to go on the inside. We're going to try to clean it up as best as we can again. Perfect. So I got that as clean as I can. So now the next step after that is you're going to take and remove the seal / return spring, if you want to call it. We're going to take that and we're going to remove that from the inside. Just got to get a pick. Had a pick. Okay. we're going to take a pick and we're going to come on the inside. If you have a flathead screwdriver, a small one, that'll work too. And try to take note of how the seal is, because the seal is actually not perfectly, how can I put that? It's not like perfectly squared. There's actually like a little like concave into it in order to help the seal go up and down, the piston go in and out. Okay, it's not perfect circle. Well, it's a perfect circle. It's just that it's not angled straight. You can't really see it on camera, but I can see it when I'm holding it like this. So after that, we're gonna take this one. Make sure that we put that one in the right way also. Okay. We're just gonna take a rag, into the interior a little bit again. Best as we can. No debris left into that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some brake fluid. We're gonna add some brake fluid to the seal. Just gonna go around, lubricate it. And we're going to install it back into its groove. Give you guys a view of the seal installed as soon as I'm done. Alright, good. Try to give you guys a view of that. So there's a little black ring on the inside that's sealed. So now, for the next part, what we're going to do is that we're going to install the new piston. Now, there's two ways that you can install the piston. One, well, there's actually two models of calipers out there. One that have a press-in boot, and the other one that have a boot that sits into the groove that's around it. This one right here is just a press-in boot, so basically I'll be able to just hit around and it will seal. So basically what you want to do now is take some more brake fluid. Okay, this is just to lube up the boot and everything. You want to lube up your piston. You're going to want to take your boot now and make sure that your orientation for your boot is right. Okay, you're going to take your boot, you're going to slide it over your piston, and you're going to move it into its groove, take it, and hold it, pull it back up a little bit, and then you're going to bring it back. Alright, now like I said, this is just a slip-in, okay? Now, typically what you want to do at this point is that you want to have like a block of wood or a vise or something, and you want to try press it in. I didn't bring that tool with me, like I said, and that was my fault because I actually have a tool where I could just sit onto it and press it in slowly, but I forgot it. So we're gonna go on a different with a different direction. That's why you want to make sure that you lube up your piston first. So what you're gonna do next is, well, what I'm gonna do next is just take a wooden part of a hammer, and with a hammer, and I'm just gonna tap in the piston. Okay, as you see, it's moving down. All right, like so. Put it all the way down, just like that. Now, this is just for the piston. The next part that we're going to be doing afterwards is obviously our sliders. That was tight. So now, after all that's done, we still have the boot that has to be set in the spot. So that too. As you can tell, the boot is not sitting where it's supposed to. So we're going to take and we're going to set the boot in spot. And for that, we're going to use a small punch. and we're just going to go around the boot, and we're just going to try sit it as best as we can. Where my other punch went. Make it a lot easier. Six. Almost set. This part. I'm gonna get something to bang onto that. Use what you got. Okay. Then tighten that up a little bit more. Pretty much seated. This part does take a little bit of time. You gotta be gentle because you don't want to hit your piston and crack it either, especially since you're going through all this trouble just to replace it. So, all right, good. A little bit over here. All right, give you guys a view of that. So that is the piston boot completely installed. All right, that's looking a lot better already. Now, the next part is we have to take and we have to do our sliders. Now, the sliders are going to be a little bit longer to do. That was just the piston part. The sliders, these ones, they're seizing up during part of their travel. So from here to here, everything's looking good. But if you keep on pushing onto it, it actually starts to seize like that. And it takes a lot more force to move. So we're going to remove those. We're going to remove the boots. We're going to clean up the inside. There's two ways to clean it up. One, you can use a drill bit. The second part, and the best way, is actually to use a wire brush onto a drill so you can get them and they're round. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not making any money onto this for that, but I'll put a link in the description where what you guys should be using in order to clean these out. Because using a drill bit, you can do damage to the caliper if you're not experienced using it. So we're going to take and we're going to remove all this as best as we can. That's why we need a pair of pliers. Take it and remove it. Now, like I said, in this kit, they did not come with the sliders, so we are going to be reusing the sliders. So just keep that in mind. Keep them. And then you're going to take a flathead screwdriver. You're going to come into your boot. You're going to come around. And you're going to remove your boot. Next, spray some WD-40 onto it. Some rust penetrant. It'll help loosen everything up. And start cleaning. Now when you're cleaning, you want to try to get rid of most of the debris that's on the inside or the rust. next part onto that is going to be taking some lube, adding some lube to it. And then what we're going to do after that is that we're going to take our new boots and we're going to add our new boots. We're going to save the sliders for after. We're going to clean all those up. Right. And then we're just going to repeat the same process onto the other side. Make sure not to damage anything. There we go. All right. So now we're just going to flip it over. We're going to do the exact same thing. Remove the slider. Like so. We're going to remove the boot in the same manner that we did the other one. Using a screwdriver, we're just going to pry around it. Got the spot. There. Go ahead, pry around it. And remove it. Same thing as a while ago. Spray some WD-40. It's just going to help the drill bit a little bit. And it loosens up the surface of the rust that's on there. So, next, take your drill. Same step. Or your wire brush, whichever one you have. Clean that out as best as you can. Go ahead and lube it up and install your new boot. Perfect. Now, next step. We're going to be taking and cleaning off the sliders. We're just going to grip them gently. Now, what I'm going to do is just grab a brush, battery, and I'm using an impact driver on this one, and the only reason is because the impact driver actually has a higher RPM than what the drill does. So just listen. And this is on max speed. So impact driver is a little bit better for this one. Okay. So what you want to do at this point is you want to. So you guys see all the rust that's on the slider. What you want to do is that you want to try to take that off as best as you can, and that way the boot will seal on this area like it's supposed to, and dirt and grime will not get inside of this area. So, and I apologize for the orientation of the screen. My screen was locked and I didn't realize it, and when I started the live, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to finish doing this. All right. Over a little bit. And that's slider number 1. Slider number 2 is over here. Uh-oh. Slider number 1. Oh, slider number 2. Now, this one is a lot worse than what the other one was. And this one was the one that was binding up more than any one of them. So, I don't know if you guys see all the rust on that. There's a lot of rust on that. So, we're going to take and we're going to clean up that. Best as we can. All right. So, my chat's not working to anybody that's coming in. I don't know why. I can't see anybody's chat if you guys are typing. So at this point right here, we're cleaning off all the rust off the sliders. And that is it for that. Right now, it's a lot better than what it did. All right. And now, what we're going to do, we're going to bring the caliper back, and we're going to install the sliders. Now, when you're installing the sliders, of course, you guys are going to have to grease them, because the sliders have to be greased in order to operate properly. And if you go back to the beginning of this video, I showed, well, not the beginning, just before I installed the sliders, I showed how much difficulty I had actually moving them. So this should make it a lot easier. Slide this in. Yeah. Sliders are tricky to get in, especially when the boot holes are smaller than the rest. Push this in as best as we can. So, no. Really not liking that. It takes a long time to put in a slider. Now, the original boots actually have, the holes are a little bit bigger for the sliders. So, this thing is just caving in on itself. Try going this way. Maybe I'll get lucky. Oh, all right, there we go. And now, tell slider is not hard to move. So, breaking the boot. Put them on. Don't want them to break, right? There we go. So, as you can see how easy the slider moves now compared to before. Now, we're going to do the same thing on the other one. Install the slider. We're going to grease it. And then the last step after we get the slider in is going to be to change out the bleeder. Because the bleeder can be corroded and rusted on the inside. I think the other side actually fell. So, because I already have the left-hand side? No, the right-hand side done. So this is the left-hand side that we're doing right now. So I'm just going to install this one, and then the bleeder is going to be the last part. Okay. Now, like I said, these sliders can be a little bit tricky because these aftermarket boots are made smaller than the OEM. So because of that, it's hard to get the slider to inside where it's supposed to be. On the side. Back up. Try to push onto it straight. Should help slide in. A little twist. There it is. Perfect. So now we got that one on. Just gonna take it. We're gonna move the boot without poking it. The last thing you want is to actually take it. Wreck the boot that you just put on. That wouldn't be great. Guy back up. That's moving nice and slow now. Nice and slow. That's moving nice and easy now. If you guys are trying to type in the chat, I don't know if the chat is working. I haven't got any messages all night. So, but now we have the piston done. We have the sliders done. And now the last part is going to be the bleeder. Now the bleeder, you got to be very, very careful when you're doing the bleeder. Right? Because for all we know, the bleeder is completely seized. And if it's seized, well, you could take and you could end up breaking it, which would not be great. But these ones, they look very, very well protected with the cap that we're on with. So we're going to take and turn this guy a little bit, get a socket. Your bleeder is on this area right here. Typically, you want to leave the penetrating fluid sit for roughly about 45 minutes, but I don't want to wait 45 minutes, so we are going to take and try and remove it now. And that's 10 mil. When you're trying to take off the bleeders, the best practice is try tighten it a little bit and then go ahead and loosen it. If it moves as you're tightening it, then you'll be able to remove it, but you don't want to break it. And as you heard that was a little, I don't know if you guys heard that, but it did a little like crack, which is a very good sign. It means that it wasn't seized completely, and we should be able to remove it now. You don't want to put a tremendous amount of force when you're trying to tighten it. You just want to put enough force to try to see if it moves, and if it doesn't move, then your next best practice is going to be to add some heat to it. Now, this slider does not look bad at This bleeder does not look bad. It doesn't look corroded on the inside at all. But the caliper internally really did not look bad. So I think that was a very good sign. The brake fluid on this was horrendous though. Coming out, it was almost black. So, but we're on the last little bit. All I have to do is install a new bleeder with a cap, and then we are done with this caliper rebuild. So, get this cap off the bleeder, put the bleeder on. We'll tighten that down. And when you're tightening up the bleeders, you don't want to put a lot of force on them. It doesn't take a lot of force to stop the bleeder from leaking out. So don't forget it. Most of the time they're 8mm, 10mm bolt heads, if you want to call it. The biggest I've seen is a 12mm, but that's on a rare occasion. So Yeah. So that concludes the caliper rebuild. Sliders are working nice now. And that's about it for this one. So if you guys have any comments or questions, you guys can go ahead and post them. And from there, I'll be concluding this video. Last step, remove the last little seal from it. And I'm going to take and I'm going to clean around it real quick. I wanted to have a proper seal when I put the new ones on. Try my best to clean it off. So, that looks nice. Alright, that looks like it's sealed nicely afterwards. So, that's it for this video. Or this live, I should say. I'll try to do more lives in the future, depending on what I'm doing. This one was a pretty quick live, half an hour to rebuild a caliper. Not too bad. I was taking my time with it also, bringing you guys through the paces on what you need to do in order to rebuild it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.